Hello, and again, I want to welcome each and every one of you guys to the Beautiful Things Come From Struggle podcast YouTube channel. Yo, today I want to talk about, through my lens, the 30 years behind the walls of Massachusetts state prisons. Before I begin, I just want to, start a quote, man, that many of you guys know, and if you don't know, you will know. A prisoner has time that he can put to good use. I put prison second to college as the best place for a man to go if he needs to do some thinking. If he is motivated in prison, he can change his life. And that comes from Malcolm X. If you guys don't know, my name is Ernest Nate Benjamin. Some people call me Big Nate. Some people call me Nate, Brother Nate, Abdul Kawi. But I'm Nate. And, I've been incarcerated for about 30 years. And, I'm thankful that God, God willing, is about to give me a second chance. And I'm looking forward to that. But today I want to just talk about, through the lens, through my eyes and what I've seen and what I feel through my 30 years behind the walls, man. And I don't want to make this something like it's some war story session or like talking that, and I'm not knocking what nobody do, but, I want to talk about something that I feel is imperative. That's important, man. I feel that, my opinion, that there needs to be a transparent investigative eye towards a fair parole selection process. I believe that there needs to be effective, sensitive training for corrections officers regarding race. I believe that there needs to be mental health training geared towards trauma. And I also believe that there needs to be more community engagement with those, man, who are incarcerated. And again, those who have re-entered society. For many years, man, I have become frustrated with the parole process. And it's crazy. Now I'm about to see them. And listen, I'm not hating on them. They got a tough job. I understand that the members of the board have a difficult job, meaning that they're trying to find a clear and impartial line and seeing what best suits the families of the victim, as well as the individual, like myself, who are seeking that second chance of returning to society and the safety of society as a whole. The reason why I have become frustrated, though, is that my many experiences with men behind the wall who have demonstrated that true change, but for some apparent reason, some of them, they receive setbacks. Again, listen, I'm privy, man, to that painstaking process that this board goes through, that the Massachusetts Parole Board goes through. I am. However, I feel the best way to solve this enigma would have an investigative eye and a hidden hood or a hidden camera or a designated officer. These instruments of change and transparency will allow the Mass State Parole Board to see those men and women in real time who are truly doing their part in cultivating personal change and growth. And then from there, right, they will see the worthy candidates. And as we all know, recent use of cameras have shown their effect, their profound effect, that allows society to understand the makeup of an aspect of the criminal justice system. And I'm pretty sure you guys agree with me. Sadly, after the cruel and appalling acts we witnessed in relation to George Floyd and many others, as you know today, there's been a spotlight on the criminal justice reform. Listen, throughout my many decades in prison, I have yet to see many correction officers of color. This is certainly a problem. Why? Let's allow the numbers, because I like numbers, do the talking. African Americans make up 40% of the 2.2 million people that are incarcerated in the United States of America. As we continue with the numbers, ladies and gentlemen and listeners, these numbers state that African Americans are incarcerated 6 times higher than whites, while 2 times higher than Latinos. What I've seen are countless correction officers who don't really understand. I repeat, who don't really understand the black and brown prisoners. Furthermore, They don't come from a diverse backgrounds, nor have lived in these same inner cities that me and you all, or some of you all, have lived. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good. There's some good officers that are from probably hillbilly areas that are good people, because there are good people out there. It doesn't matter what you do as a profession. However, I feel that it's important within the realm of the incarcerated to see more men and women of their background, while it gives inmates or those who are incarcerated comfortability. Therefore, asking for that chance to have that particular bridge and sharing and understanding and communicating, and in some instances mentoring. Yo, Quiet is kept. There's been some COs that mentored me, man. I remember it was time when I was doing seg time, and he just slid books under my door and said, "Read that." And I was like, whoa. And this was an older white dude, Vietnam veteran, and he took interest in me. And he was like, "Read that." That meant so much to me. These benefits and these attributes are shown with regards to community policing. Facts. From the inside looking outside, it seems that most of the problems that plague society stem from a lack of communication. I really believe that through effective dialogue, difficult topics and questions, man, can be answered, like the need for more training geared towards trauma response and treatment. Many who have themselves been incarcerated or work with the incarcerated have experienced trauma. You hear stories, like I've heard stories from their traumatic experiences, like they're being in combat, or even having certain relationships with certain inmates. I hear some of the things that they've been through, man. And from my own personal experience in these conversations I've had with others, I know a great deal of incarcerated individuals who have been victims of horrible incidents involving violence, as well as committing them. But as I say again, through restorative justice, hurt people, but heal people, man. But I'm able to learn from some prison, this is what I've learned from some prison self-help groups. I believe that there's a dire need for more mental health training. I'm talking about real effective, not none of this bootleg crap. I'm talking about some real effective mental health training and dialogue that's geared to trauma. That's important, since the high percentage of those are eventually going to be released. And I've said this before. I believe that mental health treatment would also be important for certain correction officers who also have been affected by trauma. Just because they wear a badge and just because they have a profession, they're human beings. They're people too, man. I believe, man, the essence of a man or a good person is having empathy for others, regardless of what situation you're in. And so, therefore, man, I also believe that correction officers, they would do well with having counseling, since they've been affected by trauma too. Seeing the things that they see, I think that would be important. This is coming from a man who spent 30 years in prison. I've also taken pride in self-inventory of myself, in changing my life. And I dedicate that to the many men behind the walls, man, who I spent walking the quads with, the tracks with, working out with, and also from the many people who I've met from outside of prison, and people who I don't even know from the street and who I've met in prison. I wouldn't have made it, man, if it weren't those people who I met from outside of prison, the community I met from outside of prison. Seriously, a community of people who I met while I had been in prison. These people, man, they took time to erase their fears and maybe their preconceived notions to sit and visit with me. Susan Rushforth, Judy Deutsch, other people, man, who don't come from where I come from, but took the time to drive and to visit with me and learn about me, share with me, in some instances cry with me, laugh with me. Um, though we may not, like I said, though we may come from different circumstances and demographics, that time and that willingness to mentor an inmate like me is something special. The mentors that I've met over the years have encouraged me in so many ways that I can't even begin to express the profound gratitude I have for them. Just imagine where we would be as a whole if more people took the opportunity to mentor an inmate. Just imagine that. The gifts, the knowledge, the wisdom, the empathy, the compassion. Now, I understand how society looks at the incarcerated. Oh, most of them are pieces of crap, this, that, and the third. But it's not all men and women that are incarcerated are bad people. Folks, real talk. Many people who I've met in behind the wall have and shown redeemable qualities. Now, I want to talk about criminal reform again. Should we prepare and help those who are about to re-enter society? As for those who have mentally incarcerated, the question is, would the collective be able to look, listen, learn, so that we can understand the problems and find the solutions instead of dwelling on the problem? Having that collective, men and women mentors who serve as that spoken will to promote criminal justice reform. I mean, they say that people know more in prison what's going on out there than the people that are out there, right? But remember, it takes a village. So wouldn't it? I remember Stanley Tookie Williams, one of the founders of the Crips. He said there's a multitude of men and women incarcerated, right, who want to give back to the community in which they hurt or harmed in the past, and who have some answers to the problems that are plaguing our communities. So wouldn't it be good to dip into that well? Wouldn't it? Instead of allowing certain people to continuously profit on the ills that are continuously plague our communities. I'm just hoping that mentors from our communities, that should be able to be that road and helping, the incarcerated and recovery while continuing to help the needed help in restoring our communities as well. So therefore, man, listen. These are some of the things that I've viewed and I've seen and I feel in my 30 years so far, which is about to come to an end, God willing. So I just hope that I struck a nerve or gave some sort of desire for someone out there listening to the YouTube podcast channel to help us, to help those who are already doing the work make a difference. I owe it to those behind the wall and to those people who came into my life who are out there in the community, to do what I can to continuously be a better person. Again, I want to ask you all to share Beautiful Things Come from Struggle podcast YouTube channel. I ask that you like and subscribe. We're not here to preach. We're just here to reach. And pretty soon there's going to be some more dynamic, beautiful things, especially in the near future. And with that, let's love each other. Let's do well with each other. Because Papa said it takes skill to do so. And with that, man, love, peace, and God bless. Ernest B. Benjamin. Beautiful Things Come from Struggle podcast YouTube channel. Peace.